So next up, we have Jocelyn Russell, who lived in Gunma Prefecture from 2015 to 2019. She will be speaking about driving in Japan and car accidents. Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you guys. Okay, I should apologize real quick. Amazon just dropped something off and my dog's going crazy. So if you hear a dog, again, apologies, but my door is closed, so it should be good. Okay, let's get started. I've got a lot to talk about and I'm gonna try to get it done in 8 minutes. Okay, a quick disclaimer, I give you all permission to laugh at my expense. Don't worry about hurting my feelings. What happened has happened and it's in the past. Instead, I'm happy to have the privilege of sharing my not one, but 2 jet vehicle accidents with you all. Here's the thing with car accidents, we tend to catastrophize them in our heads, just imagining the absolute worst. And it's true, there are really bad accidents out there. Though when a car accident does happen, it's usually just a fender bender or a rear ender. But because we've been programming ourselves to only consider worst case scenarios, when even small stuff happens, it seems so much scarier than it really is. So hi again, I'm Jocelyn. I was an ALT in Gunma Prefecture, Shibukawa City for 4 years. And for 2 of those 4 years, I had the absolute best time of my life riding this beautiful motorcycle. I think we're gonna get a share. Okay. There we go. Oh man, how cool. And now I lost my little script, so one moment. There we go. Real quick, you cannot wear something like that while riding. In fact, to ride scooters and motorcycles in Japan, you must wear a helmet. It's the law. And don't forget pants and a jacket. Don't be that gaijin. This is a Honda Cub. Thanks so much, Dylan. On the way to visit a Jet Senpai for dinner, I stopped at the Daiso, a 100 yen store. After making my purchase, I headed out to where I parked the Cub, near where the bicycles were also parked. That's allowed at some stores in Japan. I turned it on, put it in first gear, and began to back out using my feet. Putting it in first gear was the first stupid mistake we can all laugh at here, because my footing slipped a bit and my hand pulled back on the gas handle, and that Cub's front tire went right into the glass entrance of the Daiso. Full disclosure, it did not go flying into the store like Evel Knievel or something, but it left a decent crack. I panicked, running back into the store to tell someone as if no one could hear the loud cracking noise. I found a Daiso worker, fished out my international driving permit, which she probably thought was fake, and got out my phone to text that Jet Senpai to please come help me. The frustrated Daiso worker went to call the police while telling another worker not to let me run off. When the police arrived, there were 2 of them. That's how they roll in Japan. They come in pairs. The younger of the 2 actually understood what an IDP looks like, whereas I'm pretty sure the older one thought it was fake. Things were documented with the help from Jet Senpai, and after what felt like hours, which was actually just 1, we were on our way. No laws broken, since it wasn't on the street, no one was hurt, and I didn't run. But I did have to pay for the glass, which was a little over 1,000 USD. In hindsight, the officers didn't seem that upset. I'm sure they've seen worse, but in that moment, I felt horrible. Here I am on Jet, supposed to be a cultural ambassador, and I just cracked the glass at the entrance of a Daiso. I never went to that Daiso again, by the way. I was so distraught that I pushed that damn bike home. Jet Senpai, who is still one of my closest friends, treated me to a huge parfait. When I got home, I threw on some running clothes and sprinted around the block in frustration. On a tiny road back to my apartment, I stopped at a ledge that overlooks a cemetery and a few other cities in the distance. It was probably a clear, beautiful night, but I couldn't see past the tears of what is probably my most ugly of cries. Then, as if I'm in some dorama, a little girl I haven't seen before walks up, no hesitation, and sits down next to me. She asks me if I'm all right and if I need help. I told her it was just a bad day, but I'll be okay. She said, and this is me translating, "Yes, everything will get better one day. Have a good night." And she left. I was absolutely stunned. I'm not religious by any means, but it did for a moment feel like this was all set up to remind me that bad things happen, but you'll be okay. After I paid for the glass, I slowly started riding again. To improve my riding skills, I signed up for a 2-week motorcycle course at the driving school. The course was hard, Japanese aside, but it was also one of my favorite experiences. And it ended with me being the only person to pass on exam day and being the only woman examinee to boot. I'm upset that Daiso needed new glass because of me, but things worked out and weren't that bad. So, okay, I thought I had met my jet experience quota in the vehicle accident category, but I did not. This time it wasn't my fault, but it still sucked. This was my car. One more picture. Oh, there we go. Okay. And again, need my script real quick. Okay, this is my car. I bought it in full in cash. It's a Daihatsu Copen. I'd finally fulfilled my childhood dream of owning a convertible car. It was also manual, which made mountain roads so much more enjoyable. Thanks, Dylan. I can't remember if I was going over the speed limit. I might have, since it was downhill, and I was excited that I got half a day of PTO to go see off my two friends who were finishing their jet tenure. Except that didn't happen because an old woman didn't look both ways before turning. Even upon impact, she kept turning. I swore it looked like she was going to make a break for it. I had swerved the best I could, but it was a narrow road during lunchtime. With the traffic, I probably would have caused some serious damage if I'd swerved. Luckily, she did stop. She got out of her car and did an oh my, while I panicked about who to call and what I needed to say in Japanese. She was actually pulling out of her friend's driveway, so her friend came out and called the police for us while I called the Board of Education. Two BOE members arrived, followed by the police, again in a pair. The police boredly asked us questions about what happened. It was a midday in July, and the heat was getting to all of us, but the old woman was struggling telling her side of the story. I was super mad at the moment. My beloved car I had saved up for was beat up, my half day of PTO is being wasted, and I can't even see off my two jet friends. On top of all of that, the old woman's friend said to me, "You know she's a famous enka singer in Gunma, right?" Great, so that means she's paying for this, right? I thought. That was a bit sassy, but this was following a year of about half a dozen fatal car accidents that happened in Japan due to driving errors from elderly drivers. But hey, we all make mistakes, this kind of stuff happens. Of course I forgave her, and I did so pretty quickly because I've been in her shoes. It's pretty embarrassing no matter how old you are. The months following were just constant back and forth with her insurance company and mine. No laws were broken, so no tickets. But it was entirely up to me to work with both insurance companies to find a deal on who pays how much. In Japan, accident fault is a percentage of sorts. For example, this person is at 20% at fault, so they pay 20% of the damage. The other person is 80% at fault, so they pay 80%. And of course, it varies on the plans. The only time it's 100% one person's fault is when that 0% person was not moving, so like a rear end at a traffic stop. This percentage is determined by a number of ways, but it's up to the drivers and their insurances to negotiate. I was able to take great pictures and have BOE members help translate, but the old woman had paid for better insurance, so they had fought harder, but I also never gave up. I dropped my car off at the shop and they sent me home in a little rental that I had for nearly 6 months as I fought this insurance company. It paid off. I was aiming for 90% her fault, but we had to settle for 80. Fortunately, the shop fixing my car did me a huge favor. Instead of getting new parts for my car, they searched far and wide for used parts and then charged the old woman's insurance company for the price of new parts. In the end, I had some money left over and was able to put it back into the amount I owed. My car damages were about $4,000, the old woman's was about $10,000, but I only had to pay $80 out of pocket. Good things happen to those who wait, or those who outsmart a Japanese insurance company. Was that stressful? I hope it wasn't. It's life, this kind of stuff happens. Even if you don't have to drive in Japan, the longer you stay, the more likely you're going to run into a situation that will force you to think fast, know who to reach out to, and most importantly, stay calm. Remember that when it feels like calamity strikes when you're on jet. I can guarantee that it'll happen in one form or another. Just remember, that you've made it this far. Those interviews aren't hard for nothing, and you'll get through this too. This is coming from the woman who lived through not one, but 2 vehicle accidents during her measly 4 years in Japan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn. That was a really great story. I think that speaks to a lot of resilience, which is also an important characteristic on the JET program. And that I love the line you had about the message you received that everything will be okay one day. That's a great message.